Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're doing a recap of Sistas season 3 episode 2, Acting Normal, which was more like acting fake in this episode. But before we jump into this week's drama, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash the like button and drop a comment down below. So we last left off at episode 1 where the cops brought her in and Gary's alive. Now, I know what we saw. I know what she's claimed to see. But obviously, Gary made it through this whole thing. So there was a, I guess, logical explanation for all of this. This man decided to, because he knew how crazy Jasmine was, decided to put plastic bullets in the guns that was in the house, because he projected that she was probably going to come for his neck sooner or later, so he prepared himself. And sure enough, yeah, it hurt, as he told Andi, but it was plastic. So I didn't know how this was going to turn out. I thought Gary was a goner, but obviously he's still here, and definitely she is grateful that he's still here. But, I mean, my goodness, if you know you're dealing with a woman that crazy, I guess you gotta figure out something to do just in case. So, let me know if you guys think that was a smart move for him to put those rubber bullets or plastic bullets in those guns in the house. I guess because he knew what she would be capable of. But, again, Andi, I mean, is it worth it? Really, is it worth it? I don't know. So later on that day, man, Gary stepped in, and I was like, damn! Boy, even though Gary is shady, Cheeto can hang a suit, can't he, ladies? That man know he was looking good and fine as hell. Anyway, so Gary, in quotation marks, brings back this guy who's this photographer who claims to need a model because his model, I guess that was scheduled, had canceled on him. And Gary was like assuming that she was going to be able to do it. Now, I don't know what this is about. It seems weird. And even the sisters, they think it's weird, but we'll talk about that later. But Andi was like, I don't know if I could do this. I've never modeled before. And why did you do this? And, of course, Gary laid it on thick. Oh, you're so beautiful. I know you can do this. You would be so perfect for him. Blah, blah, blah. And, of course, that definitely melted her defenses down because she agreed to it. And he was happy. But I think there is something else up with this scenario. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Because it's just so suspect. And you know what else is suspect? Jasmine and Gary has a son. And so, remember, before he left the house, he was talking about he got to go pick up his son and take him over to his mama's house and all of that. And I don't blame Andi for asking questions like, okay, we engaged. I want to meet this son. And he was like, well, because of his autism and his mom and blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, Andi backed down and was like, all right, fine. I guess I don't have to meet him. And, he was like, even though we're still engaged, I mean, it's going to be a while probably, before you meet my son. I don't know. Do you guys think he even have a son? This is my first time hearing it. Unless I didn't pay attention in season 1 or season 2. I didn't even know Gary had a kid with Jasmine. But, okay. But, obviously, he does. And, he's not going to let Andi meet this boy. But, obviously it's something going on there. I just don't know, and I can't put my finger on it. So, right after Karen arrives to her shop, nosy Pam in the background, Andi shows up. Andi comes in and they play this little, I don't know. They don't want to say it, but they do want to say it. And how you been? I've been good. You been good? Yeah. Everything is all, and I'm like, this is not acting normal like the actual episode title. These two girls are tiptoeing around the real fact of the matter, which is the situation with Fatima and Zach. And so, of course, Andi was like, hey, if I had known, I would have told you. And she was like, really? And she was like, yeah, I would have told you if I had known. Karen, you had a whole nother guy. Why do you even care? Why do you even care? And I'll talk about Karen in a little bit when we get to her section of this video. But, and then there was this snap remark about after, of course, Andi talked about her fashion shoot. And I'm like, okay, y'all throwing darts at each other. Y'all need to quit. Are y'all really, truly friends? Or y'all just, acting normal? Whatever. So, there's another person in this mix, and that's Fatima. Now, she had the nerve to walk Fatima in her office as if she stole something, or like she about to get rolled up or fired or something. I need to see you in my office. And I'm like, are you serious right now? I mean, you going to accost her like that? And then, of course, Andi is like, excuse me, but did you know? And if I was her, I would have been like, yeah, okay. We're not even having this discussion. But Fatima, they friends. And so she was like, of course I didn't know. If I had known, I would have told you. And so, of course, Andi's face is looking like, you mean to tell me the guy that you've been talking about all this time, you talking about Zach? And she like, yeah. And she was like, why? Zach is the type of dude that live off of women. And she was like, you like to deal with that? And it's interesting what Fatima said. She said a lot of these guys out here don't have a father figure. And so they've been raised by their moms. And sometimes they haven't grown up yet. And so sometimes you got to step in and show them and be that motherly figure. And Andi actually was like, I never thought about that. Really? Seriously? Now, ladies, what do you think about that? Would you bring someone in like she did with Zach to nurture him? Because I don't see her actually taking care of him as in the description that Andi gave. I actually see something different. So let me know what you think. And that difference is the fact that she's trying to help him. So now we're back over with Gary, and Gary calls Danni to say, hey, this fashion shoot is happening. And of course, Danni is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Why you calling my phone? I don't know nothing about it. What do you do? I mean, she was giving him the fifth degree. The fifth degree. And he's like, look, no, I mean, she's actually doing a fashion shoot. I want you girls to be there for her so she won't be nervous. And he was like, don't tell her about the surprise, because, of course, Danni wanted to tell her. Well, she decided to go ahead and call the girls. And so she called and three-wayed in with Sabrina and with Karen. And so she told them about the photo shoot. And, of course, Sabrina is suspicious. However, remember, Andi had already told Karen. And so Karen told Danni that, yeah, it's on the up and up. I know it's about, she was like, well, wait a minute. Are we doing this again? We keeping secrets from each other? Oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go. Because Danni has a real issue about the girls not being transparent with each other. But anywho, they was like, should we go and check this out? And they was like, oh, yeah, we don't know what this crazy man gonna do. So the girls decide to all get together and they're gonna show up. We didn't see that in this episode, but obviously it's probably gonna be coming up in next week's episode. So we'll definitely see what happened. But yeah, they are not too happy about this whole scenario. All right, now we got to deal with Karen. Karen walks in and Aaron is sitting on the floor, still recovering from the previous night. And of course, he got a slight hangover. And then at the same time, he's like, hey, this is not your fault, it's my fault. And Karen was like, well, a little bit is my fault. And he was like, what I mean is that I should have had control over my emotions and my choices, which I agree, because he took accountability for that part. He didn't have to be doing all that. But then they start talking about why he did it. And he was saying, because I wanted to make love to you. I wanted you to forget him and how he feels inside of you. And she was like, it's a little bit deeper than that. And he was like, are you serious right now? And she was like, well, no pun intended, but he has my heart. And I mean, he's in my head and everything. And of course, poor Aaron. I mean, he's sitting there. I felt sorry for the dude, actually. I really did. Because here's the thing. She wanted to talk about this whole thing. But for her to say what she said about Zach having her heart and her mind.
Oh, you crazy.
And then at the same time, even Aaron said that she's making him crazy. So, I mean, he was like, you know what? We need some time. And he wanted to continue to talk about it, right? But the crazy thing about it, even though she initially said, you want to talk about it? He wanted to talk about it. But then she turns around and was like, you know what? I got to go to work. Can we talk about this later? And I'm like, wait a minute. How you going to say, let's talk about it when he expressed himself, but you don't want to tell your side of the story? You get that little bitty pun. And then he was like, you know what? Nah, maybe we don't need to talk about it. Well, I need some time. You need some time. We got to figure this out on our own separately. And I think that was a good move. He needed to get her the side eye. Because when she said what she just said is that this man, meaning Zach, has her heart and her head. Ain't nothing he can do with that right now. She got to figure that out. And that wasn't fair to him. And I think the only reason, besides the fact that she found out about Fatima, is that she ain't dealt with unresolved issues. But don't be with that man if you're going to emasculate him. And then make Aaron crazy too. That girl need to be by herself and she need to figure all this out. So now let's move on to Danni. Danni is done with her night with Mr. Cowboy, and she is absolutely glowing, as he said to her, and she's just smiling and cheesing from ear to ear, because the cowboy done put in some work the previous night, and she is on cloud 9, and I don't blame her. She got in, and she got it in. So, anywho, it now switches over to the fact that he got to go see his mama. And she is like, I don't know if I feel like dealing with that today. Where's your brothers at? And he was like, well, she's upset with my brothers. She ain't happy about what they did to you. And, of course, she's like, I ain't got time for no nonsense today. I don't want to deal with it when it comes to your family. And then he was asking questions about, are you coming straight home after work? And of course, she giving him the side eye like, why you ask me that? Are you not finna bring somebody up in my house, are you? He was like, no, I'm not finna bring somebody at my house. I'm just asking, and she was like, okay, So that kind of calmed her down a little bit. What do you think about these two? I actually think these two might just work out. I know she still got a lot of boundaries when it comes to him. But guess what? There's another boundary, is who coming to her door, because she thought it was the landlady, so she decided to hide behind the clothes rack. It was Sabrina. And we're going to talk about Sabrina later. So now we at work. Of course, Zach shows up, and I don't know why Danni liked to give this man a hard time. I know that she got issues with how him and Karen been in a relationship. But, of course, she asks and get into his business about everything that's going on with Fatima and asked did he really like her. And he was like, yeah, I'm feeling her. I mean, I ain't in love with her, but I like her a lot. And she asked him, then why you sleep with Karen then? And he was like, I don't know, it's just happened. It shouldn't happen. I want to be with Fatima. And of course, Danni is like, no, the two of you, Karen and you belong together. And of course, he ain't trying to hear that. She keep pressing on. She even asked him, because of the fact that he sold the building and he made some money, did you pay Karen back? And he like, yeah, I paid her back. I paid her $5,000. And she couldn't do nothing with that statement. She was like, oh, okay. You paid her back? All right then. So all of a sudden, this lady comes up. And I mean, she's going back and forth with Zach about her laptop being still on the plane. And every time he go to get it, she's like, are you sure? Are you sure you can do it? And he's like, if you let me get the opportunity to do it, I can go do it. But are you sure? And I'm like, this woman here, something going on with this lady. Because he's definitely continues to tell her, would you let me go get the darn thing? And she keep asking him, are you going to be able to do it? Are you sure? Can you go get it? And I'm looking at her, and she's standing up there looking so darn confused. It's like, what is really up with this lady? So let's talk about Sabrina. Back over at Danni's house, Sabrina is trying her best to get in contact with her. And I'm like, girl, can't you make decisions on your own? And I know Danni was thinking the same thing, because she's like, what do you want? She got the nerve to come up here talking about, okay, after what happened last night, I know how to handle everything else, but what do I say to him when I get to work? What do I do when it comes to that? And I'm looking at this girl like, excuse me?
What? Bro, what are you talking about?
You don't know how to deal with this when you get to work? All of these issues started because you can't make a decision. Sabrina, get your head on straight. Figure it out yourself. Why do you need everybody else to tell you how to think, how to feel about a person? Especially, like I said in the last episode, Calvin already told her who he is and what he's about. Now she needs help how to deal with Jacoby. And so, of course, Danni is looking at her like, why don't you just go to work and just don't say nothing to him? Now, in my opinion, I don't think that's a good idea. You guys need to talk about it, because other than that, if y'all are not on speaking terms and it's the silent treatment, those two are going to have so much tension in the office, is going to be absolutely ridiculous. But if she can't handle it, then more than likely she's not going to talk to him. In the meantime, Danni is trying to get Sabrina out her house because she's in the middle of her own personal meditation. And she's still whining about help, talking about, well, since you're in your meditation, be a meditation guru and help me out. Sabrina, no, you need to figure this out for yourself. And she already told you what to do, which is, in her opinion, to get out of her house, let her have her meditation, and you go to work, go in your office, and don't say anything. What's so hard about that? Nothing. And as she said, you're not helping me. And she was like, nah, namaste, bitch. So, anywho. So now we're at the bank, and we have Maurice see the guy that was at his house that one time that came out the room. The thing is, he's trying to cash a doggone check for $5,000. And he's claiming that Calvin paid him $5,000. And so, of course, Maurice is suspicious. Maurice is like, yeah, I don't know about that one. What do you guys do for a living? He talking about some construction work. Yeah, I build houses. So Maurice dig deeper and asked this dude, what does Calvin actually look like? And so he was like, oh, this is this dark-skinned brother.
Boy, if you don't get...
And at that moment, Maurice was like, you know what? You going to jail. because he knew Calvin, of course, is light-skinned. And he was like, no, please, I beg of you. And then tried to flirt with Maurice as well. And I mean, for a minute, I was like, don't give in. Don't give in, Maurice. This man is playing you. But he didn't. He was calling the police. And of course, this man, I got to feed my kids. You can't do this to me. You got to help me. And of course, Mr. Jacoby, because the doors was locked, Jacoby comes in. He runs right out. And of course, Maurice is like, you just let that fool out of here. He done stole and writing bad checks and everything else. And Jacoby is looking like, okay, yeah, but it's Sabrina here. And of course, he was like, no, Sabrina's not here. I need to talk to her. And of course, Maurice filled him in on, I know everything that has happened. And he was like, man, she told you everything? And I'm like, dude, if you're going to date Sabrina, your business going to definitely be in the streets. And Sabrina comes in. She's not speaking to him, cold, silent treatment all day. And of course, she was like, hi, Maurice. And walked right into her office. And of course, Maurice was like, she mad at you, Geppetto. Yeah, sorry, dude. She ain't talking to you. Not today. Not right now. Which I don't think this is a good idea. But obviously, Sabrina don't know how to handle situations. She especially head on. She got to go around the corner, around the back door, talk to all her friends, talk to whoever, instead of dealing with the situation head on like she need to do. So Maurice catches whiff by looking into Calvin's account that money is coming up missing. And that dude that got away has been draining Calvin's account. So he decides to get Calvin a heads up and say, I need to let you know that that guy that was the friendly roommate, he's been siphoning money out of your account, and I just need to let you know. And the only way that you're going to fix the problem is if you come into the bank and deal with the manager. And guess who the manager is? Sabrina. And of course, he does not want to do that. Everybody's trying to avoid everybody. That's why I say acting normal. Yeah, right. So he's like, I don't want to have to deal with this. I'm not coming in there. I'll just go to a different branch. And he's like, no, you can't do that. It's going to take 2-3 days to get your money back. You need to come in here. So I don't know what these folks going to do. None of them are acting normal. They're all acting fake. We'll see what happens next week. And that's the end of this video. So let's do our post notification shout out. If you want to be shouted out, drop a comment. I will see you and shout you out. This first one goes to Nicole James. Thank you so much for engaging in the channel. I really appreciate it. The next one goes to Bayuma777. Thank you for engaging the channel. I'm glad you came across my channel. I'm glad you enjoyed the review. And last but not least, Bobby Ray. Thank you so much as well for your comment and engaging in the channel. And until the next video and the drama next week, like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you soon.